College Football Connection podcast with Marty Jenkins and Alvin Reed on 101 ESPN.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. College Football Connection. Marty Jenkins here alongside my man, Alvin Reed. We appreciate every one of y'all watching every week, listening every week. We're having a good time. We are 66-61 overall. We finna run a table this weekend, make it 86-61. Oh, Alvin, man, oh, man. You think Mizzou was looking forward to that game at College Station next week?
Well, they got to be. I mean, based on where they were when there was, the final set of double zeros on the clock, they had to say, woo, and we got we got an extra week to get ourselves together. Texas A&M, I won't say struggle, but Bowling Green gave them a fight. So, up, down Texas A&M team, I guess. But if you run into the one that played Notre Dame or the one that played Florida, on the road.
Mizzou lucky to be undefeated.
Well, I don't know what to say about the game other than, that was a battle of missed field goals. Mm-hmm. And Missouri made one more than Vandy did.
Yep. Kansas fell in Morgantown.
Yeah, they're just three excruciating losses. Yeah. They could have won every one of the loss, but a loss is a loss. I'll give Missouri that. Mm-hmm. They put themselves in a situation where they could have lost and they won. Mm-hmm. And other teams put themselves in a situation where they could have won and they lost.
Notre Dame struggled against the MAC team again. Pulled away third, fourth quarter. They got a big one versus an undefeated Louisville team. But, Alvin, as you said, first off, Twitter, my man. Capital A, capital A.
Capital A, capital A, capital J on the Jayhawks.
All right.
.com.
Marty 101 ESPN and Game of Bronze. He is not with us today. He is on the air in the other room. 66-61 overall. Bama, a home underdog, Alvin, for the first time since 2007 as Georgia rolls into Tuscaloosa. What do you think about this one, my man?
I have gone back and forth, I think, like much of the nation has. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give Kirby Smart the benefit of he's been through this before, and this is DeBoer's first go-around.
Yep.
People are saying that Alabama is a little better team than Georgia, possibly. But that Kentucky game concerns me.
Yep.
As far as Georgia's concerned, because Georgia should have lost that game. And
absolutely.
Kentucky just could not score, and if they were completely shut down. Does Kentucky have a better defense than Alabama? Who knows? But all that being said, Marty,
I had a tough one with this, by the way.
I did too. But Marty, I still had it at 1.5. Do you?
Yeah, it went from 4.5 to 1.5.
I had 1.5. I think Georgia's going to win the game. So it would really be difficult to not cover. So I'm going to go with Georgia. And other than they've been there before, it really just kind of comes down to that.
Were you like me where you just kind of sat there and you just had to really think about it for 5 or 10 minutes? And I was like, damn, which way am I going?
Which way am I going to go? And then I'll try to – then, you could do the analytics. You could do the stats. You could go either way on it. I do feel like if Georgia was playing at home, they'd be favored by 3.5 or 4 points, maybe more. Yeah. So thus, that's why I said, if home field advantage is 3.5, and Georgia's favored by 1.5, I still think that means that Georgia is a true 1.5, 2-point favorite. So I'm going to go with Georgia.
Okay. You messing with that over-under?
I am not, because I just don't know on that one. Okay. That's
48.5.
Yeah, of the games that we're going to do, that's the one that I can't. I don't have a real feel for. Okay. Because it could be 7-3, it could be 27-24.
Yeah. I can't imagine. Bucket list, by the way. I've never been to T-Town for a game. The place is going to be absolutely rocking.
Right.
And I think, that may have an impact. It's going to be loud the entire
game. Because Georgia has not played in Tuscaloosa in some kind of way, 5 years or something like that. It's
been a lot longer than that.
Yeah, I was going to say it's even more than that.
I think I read 2007.
Well, all right, okay.
When they were favored.
Yeah, all right.
Ain't that something?
Yeah, it's just funny, and I know that they split into the divisions at one point.
Though?
But how does that happen? Well, that happens because the schedules don't want Alabama and Georgia to play because one of them would knock themselves out of the national championship contention. Just think if they had played each other when Georgia had one loss or when Alabama played one loss, and they play a game in like late October, November, whoever loses may not even wouldn't have gotten to the SEC championship game.
Yep.
And as a result, wouldn't have had a shot at the national title.
Right.
So I think we know why they don't play each other.
So you rolling with the Go Dogs.
I'm going to roll with the Dogs on this one.
All right. Well, I don't know if you can ask for much more in this contest. You know, you got everything. You got Beck against Milroe. You got a loaded wide receiver core on both sides, loaded running backs on both sides. Tate Rutledge, he is out for Georgia on their offensive line.
Yeah.
That is ginormous. That is a huge loss. I think Bama is going to be able to break through that with their D-line and cause some disruption and maybe give Beck a long day. Alvin, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think this is going to be a shootout. I think they're going to be feeling each other out for a little bit. I think I got to go with the under in this one. This is a tough one. I am going to go with under. And generally, you know, I think Milroe is going to have a big day. But generally, when it goes from 4.5 to 1.5, you know, I'm rolling with the opposite of the public on that. But I just have a feeling, Alvin, that Bama is going to win this game. And I'll be texting you through it, man. I'll be texting you through it. It's going to be a great one. I do see a low-scoring affair in this one. And I am going to go with Alabama on this one.
I could see the reasoning that, how about let's not lose the game in the first quarter? Let's not be throwing the ball. Let's not do things that put us, you know, let's win the battle of field position and punt. And if we do that the first 2 quarters, then let's play a half in a tight ball game. I think both teams are ready to do that.
Roll with the under on this one, guys. Roll with the under. All right. Let's move north on the map. James Franklin's calling for a whiteout in this contest, Alvin.
Yeah,
he's calling for a whiteout. That gives you an idea of what Illinois is doing right now.
Well, all right. Is this not the most preposterous line?
I was reading an article on that.
I mean, seriously, because sometimes the line doesn't even add up with the over-under.
Yep.
Now, this is one of them. And I'm not trying to say
17.5 you got?
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say I'm smarter than Las Vegas is, but how is a team going to be favored by 17.5, either home or away, and then the over/under is 47.5? I mean, that's almost like saying it's almost like saying the pundits feel that Penn State is going to roll Illinois and that Illinois is going to score like under 10 points or something.
Yeah.
I don't get that one. I really don't. Which leads me right into whiteout or not. I think Illinois covers the 17.5.
Okay.
I mean, how many points has Penn State scored this year against legitimate competition? I mean,
they barely just beat Kent State
in
Happy Valley.
I'm just saying, like, I don't recall any
Bowling Green. I'm sorry.
Penn State put up 60 points on anybody or anything like that. So I don't get that one.
34-27 at home against Bowling Green.
And say I don't get that one. I don't get it. As a result, I'm rolling with Illinois. I'm gonna play the over.
47.5 over.
I'm gonna play the over on that one. Right. And Illinois surprised the S word out of me last Friday.
I got to eat crow on that one. I thought Nebraska was going to steamroll them.
I was in Springfield, Missouri Press Association, and got done for the evening, and that game was on. So I got to watch, like a bit of it, and I was just surprised that Illinois basically took it to Nebraska, overtime or not. If Illinois had not won that game, I still would have said, like, man, Illinois outplayed Nebraska. Maybe they didn't win. And that surprised me. It really did. Now, maybe that's commentary on Nebraska. Maybe that's commentary on Illinois. I don't know, but I don't know how you go from there to another road game in Penn State, and all of a sudden you're getting 17.5.
Makes you stretch your head in a big way.
In a big way.
I got to eat crow, man. I did not think they'd win in Lincoln. I thought at this point they may be 2-2. They're over-under to start the season. It reminds me of Kansas a couple years ago when, like, the lock of the century that you did, their over-under was like 2.5.
Right, and they won their first 3 games.
Yeah, you was eating good after week 3, you know what I mean? This one reminds me of that. They were at, what did I say, 4.5 or 5.5?
I think they were 5.5. I think it came down to winning enough games to get into a bowl game. I think they were 5.5.
Yeah, they sitting right now 4-0.
Yeah, they're sitting at 4-0.
Well, he's calling for a whiteout. I think it'll happen. The quarterbacks in this one, they've been fantastic to start the season. Aller and Altmaier has surprised me, man. He really has surprised me. But that rushing attack of Penn State, they're at home. Singleton and his duo, I don't think Illinois is going to be able to stop Penn State this game.
Okay, and there's a reason that Penn State is favored by 17.5 points.
Exactly.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
But I think that is still just too high.
Yeah. And who knows? It could be 28-0 at half.
Right. And I just think that's too high.
Yeah.
This is not like a declaration of Illinois is not getting any respect and blah, this. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that line is just too high.
It's high, but I'll say it like I said it last weekend. I think this is going to be a massacre.
Okay. All right.
We'll be sure to text each other during that game, but, I got to go with the over in Penn State here. I think Penn State's defense is going to contain the Illini, and most importantly, I just don't think they're ready for this environment. Now, they did go down there a few years ago, and remember that was like 19 overtimes? Illinois won at Penn State?
Yeah, they won like at 6 overtimes or something like that.
I remember watching that game live. I was like, this is a hell of a game.
All right, let me ask you this. Tougher place to play. On the road against Nebraska, a 3-0 Nebraska team, or on the road in Happy Valley against a, 4-0 Penn State? You think it's a tougher game?
Happy Valley, man.
You ever been to a game in Nebraska, man? And
I know they're nuts in Lincoln.
Trust me. This is the best team they've had in a long, long, long time.
Nebraska?
Yep, and their Big Ten opener, that place was probably insane.
They're high on Rule and the quarterback.
Yeah, but now, Illinois took it to them.
Yeah. Let's get some Illinois, man. They mentioned that 7 overtime game. They go down there. They win this year. I'm sorry. I got a lot of Illini fans that watch this, and I appreciate it. Shout out to Nicholas Hand, Illini's biggest fan. But I just got to give him credit, man. I hate saying that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like the Illini?
Yeah. I'm the same way. Like I say, I
thought Kansas would roll them.
Well, I definitely thought they would lose Friday. Now, that was just, I thought.
You thought the Illini were going to beat Kansas that?
No. I thought
Nebraska.
I'm talking about, I thought the Illini would lose to Nebraska last week.
Okay.
Now, if we go back to the Kansas game, I think Kansas was favored by 6.5 or something like that. I said, I think Kansas will get out of there with a win.
Yep.
But I don't think they'll cover.
Yeah.
Which, if they had held Illinois from scoring that last touchdown, would have been exactly right. But that's water under the bridge. Illinois won the game. Illinois hasn't lost. Illinois is going to Penn State, and I think, like I say, I think they can cover that humongous spread.
Now, let me tell you this, and I think there's a 1% chance of this happening. Sorry, Illini Nation. But if Illinois walks out of there this weekend with a win, holy guacamole.
Well,
the nation starts talking about them.
And
big time.
I think it's 3 weeks later they host Michigan.
Woo!
And I don't think they play Ohio State.
Last time I saw, speaking of Ohio State, last time I saw a game in Champaign, Alvin, I don't know if you remember this one. It was Brandon Lloyd was there. It was like a 3 overtime class hit. They were number 1 in the nation. Ohio State, Maurice Claret was hurt. He sat out and went to like triple overtime. It was the coldest I have ever been in my life, Alvin. People were huddling up in the bathrooms, drinking hot chocolate. Ohio State won, but who knows? Champaign could be rocking in a few weeks. If they beat Penn State, forget about it. I mean, that's a huge story. With that being said, Alvin, 42-14 over.
All right. Okay. All right.
Oh, man, as much as I don't want to talk about the Irish, we'll talk about the Irish. They host a very good Louisville team. They're sitting there undefeated. This is at 6.5, 48 over under. Riley Leonard has been absolutely abysmal this season. Boy, I was high on him along with the rest of the nation after that week 1 win in College Station. But I don't think he's thrown a touchdown since. They may as well roll you or I out there, and they'll probably be the same
number of touchdown passes. Right. You hate to say stuff like that, but that's just a reality.
Oh, jeez. Louisville's got a great rushing attack. The question, the Irish's defensive line is legit. It's one of the best in the nation. I don't think that Louisville, and he's going to have all day, he could have all day to pick them apart, if they contain him, but I don't think he's going to. I think that Irish defensive line is the difference in the game, and, I think they get to him, and I think the Irish, I think this is going to be an under as well.
I do too.
Okay, you're rolling with that too. I like the under on this one, and I'll take the Irish just enough to cover at 20-13, and Alvin's got the under. Okay.
And I got Louisville.
You got Louisville.
Yeah, I think this will be just another.
Take that money line?
I think scratch and claw.
Yeah.
And I Notre Dame either needs a late score to cover, or Louisville gets a late score to make it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they come. I think it's backdoor, but I think they get within the 6.5.
Maybe roll the dice on that plus 250, plus 300 money line.
Like I say, I'm real plus money. I'm like my man. I can't think of his last name, but Lawrence on Pro Football Happy Hour with on Peacock.
Mm-hmm.
He says, if I'm going, it's got to be plus money, and I mean like kind of like big plus money.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to do something like that, it'd have to be a little bit more, I think.
Right.
But Louisville could beat Notre Dame, which is proven by the fact that Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame, and then just
lost to
crap
Buffalo.
the bed. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Northern Illinois. That really helped us out a lot.
I know that did not help Notre Dame's CFP.
Well, speaking of that, good segue. I just want to talk about this for 2 seconds, but if they run the table. Well, USC lost too. That hurt. Gosh darn it, USC. Don't get me started on that one, man. USC. That was very disappointing.
Well, USC did everything they needed to do in that game except win.
Yeah.
And I think if you've got a defense that was totally suspect for the last 3 years, which is better, but it still isn't like, you can't stop Michigan on that last drive of the game.
Good win, Michigan.
Right. And you shouldn't win no game with 32 yards passing. I'm sorry. Just
is that even real?
Is that even real? Is that a real stat? I mean, what year is this? 1971? Come on.
I'll say this right now. I think if the Irish go 11-1, they may not be in.
I don't know. I think if the Irish go 11-1, they're in.
They don't play anybody.
I don't care. Because you don't want all SEC and all Big Ten teams just clogging the whole thing up. You're going to have a Big 12 team. You're going to have your Power 5 team. You need somebody else in there.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. The playoff committee will say, like, man, if this is a SEC Big Ten showdown, it's just not going to – people will not be as enthused about it.
Yep.
Your little fiefdoms will,
mm-hmm.
but the whole thing as a whole, because how are you going to set it up? By the time you rank the teams, Ohio State is playing some team from the Big Ten, and Alabama's playing some team from the SEC, and their conference game rematches, and you've already had your conference championship games, and it's like late January, Super Bowl about to happen, and just I think that would turn more people off than turn more people on.
Yeah, speaking of Super Bowl,
it'll be huge. It'll be huge in the Midwest. It'll be huge in the Southeast, but like on the East Coast and the West Coast, people will find other stuff to do. Speaking
of Super Bowl, a lot of people had the Bengals in that AFC title game. Good Lord.
Well, now
0-3.
Now what is $20 get you for the Bengals to win the Super Bowl? Probably a really nice payoff.
I'd be interested to see that. Actually.
Yeah, that's one where you can say, I could throw 50 on that just to see,
Yeah, you throw a 50 on the Cowboys to win it all, you could retire.
Well, they're probably. I guarantee you. I bet you they're close.
100-1.
One is 0-3, and the odds are against them. That's Bengals. One is 1-2, and they suck. But I'll bet you that the payoff is probably about the same.
Yeah, and don't get me started. Shout out to Ricky Gould. We talk all the time. The Bears are the most embarrassing franchise in all of professional football. I texted my buddy the other day, Ricky. I'm like, why do we even watch?
Well, I understand.
And Justin Fields, I knew that was going to happen with Justin Fields.
All right. Two things. Justin Fields went somewhere where, okay, this is how we play football. All right. And they got that across to him from the get. And when Russell Wilson injured his calf, I thought to myself, this is what will put him on the field. I think Russell Wilson would have been the starter, and maybe Justin Fields never gets on the field. All right?
Yeah.
All right. But given a chance, I said, like, this will work because Pittsburgh basically – but, Pittsburgh was sniffing the playoffs with duck dodges and
They made the playoffs last year.
yeah, they made the
Got smoked
playoffs.
in Buffalo or something?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But, just think about
He
it.
said
Duck Hodges, yeah, right. So I'm not surprised because they're not asking him to do anything except get some first downs, get a couple of 2-3 big plays. When I say big plays, I mean, like the touchdown they got, and that's good enough.
Yeah. Bears, man.
And the Bears.
The legends are rolling over in their graves.
Well, the
for
Bears, I
Nation.
just think that I think they bought into their own hype with the quarterback. And said, like, hey, he's not going to be able to do all those things once the season starts. So your offense should reflect that.
Yeah.
They can't run the ball. That's killing them.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right. Quick hitters, my man.
All right.
Quick hitters, and these are the late games. So cats are going to be scrambling to get action on these.
Oh, that reminded me of something real quick because somebody asked me this about, all right, and Kurt Warner has a commercial, and I was saying, like, all right, just a quick primer here about, he says, like, don't chase your losses, okay? And I was, we were watching the game, and it was on, and I said, like, most people don't even know what that means, technically, if they don't bet. But anyway, real quick, if you bet 10 units, let's say, per game early, and you're down 4, let's say a unit is 10, so you're down 4, okay? All right, so it means you're down 40 units going into Saturday night's games. Don't put 40 or 50 units on one game saying I'm going to win it all back on, like, one game. Because that's how it gets out of control.
Yeah.
So just FYI,
then you're really swimming in it.
Yeah, there you're swimming in it, and the games are over that week. And, like I said, just still bet your 10 units a game and, like, work your way out of it.
Right. That's smarter.
Yeah, that's smarter. So anyway, I just had a conversation about that like 2 nights ago. So it was on my mind when you said that.
Yeah, right on.
All right.
Quick hitters here. All right. Shout out to my neighbors, Chelsea Overbeck. They are flying that Wazoo flag every weekend. Undefeated still at number 25. Boise, 7.5, 65. Washington State barely beat San Jose. Don't know if you saw that score last weekend. It was like 68, 66, something like that. I just think, playing in Boise's tough. Madsen and Ashton, they're going to be a little too much in this one. And Washington State had a lot of turnovers in that game against San Jose State. I think 3. I don't think they're going to score many points here. Boise and the under, Alvin.
We agree on that one.
Okay.
I got Boise, and I got the under.
All right.
7.5. Come on. Boise covers that.
Yeah. Utah, man, every year, they're just an absolute force. What he's doing down there is unbelievable.
Did you watch the game against Oklahoma State?
On my phone.
All right. It was like 157 degrees on the field. All right. It was hot. And Oklahoma State didn't have any offense. And Utah, like, finally hit a deep pass, popped their lead out to, I guess, about 16, 17 points. All right. Looked like the game was over. So Oklahoma State gets this flurry, has a chance to actually take the lead late in the game.
Oh, and I heard Gundy did something stupid.
Yeah, Gundy
right?
did something. Yeah. Not punted, or I can't remember. But I think Utah thought the game was over, and Utah was exhausted.
Yeah.
It was hot. I mean, it was really, really hot, okay? That's the only reason I think Oklahoma State got back in that game, because Utah was rolling them. Utah lived in Oklahoma State's red zone. They just couldn't score touchdowns.
Right.
And that's what kept Oklahoma State in the game. And Utah turned the ball over one time in the red zone. And Utah's going to cover against Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah. And I know 12.5 is kind of up there, but Utah is going to cover because Utah completely outplayed Oklahoma State.
Yep.
And I really just think they wilted the last. And Marty, Oklahoma State's whole comeback started with like 8 minutes left in the game, like
right.
5
7 something.
So
yeah.
So that game was basically over.
Right.
So I think Utah will be fine, and I think they cover against Arizona.
You got a feel on the over/under?
I left that one. I left that one blank, but I'm gonna go with the over. I think I just did circle it. Okay. I'm gonna go with the over.
All right, listen, Arizona's defense sucks.
Yeah, and that's basically it. Because Arizona, if Arizona covers, it's only because they're going to score points, and Utah, won't score 50, they'll score 40, and maybe that might not be enough to cover 12 and a half,
Yep.
which is 28. So I'm going to go with Utah. I'm going to go with the over.
Okay, so I have that written down as well with the I think they hang high 30s in this one.
Okay.
I mean, Arizona does have the capability to move the ball and get in the end zone. And I have my lock of the week here, ladies and gentlemen. Lock of the week, over. This has got to be over 50 and a half.
I'm way more confident in the over than I am on the Utah covering. But I think to get to the over, Utah covers.
Okay.
And Arizona had a train wreck of a game earlier a couple weeks ago. Northern Arizona. Yeah, I was going to say it was one of the
Lumberjacks.
It was like a directional school, right, from their own state, right. So, because I was thinking, I wonder who's better between Arizona and Arizona State. I was like, that answered my question. Is like, well, Arizona State is the best team in Arizona right now.
People going to be scrambling on this last game. Number 8, Oregon at UCLA, 55 over under. Oregon is favored by 24. The Bruins are allowing 30-plus points a game. I got to think, looking at this matchup, Oregon's going to hang at least 30 in this one. But on the other end, I don't see UCLA scoring at all. I got the Ducks in the under, Alvin.
I am going to go with UCLA in this one.
Ooh.
Only because UCLA showed some fight against LSU on the road.
Okay.
And they played a much better game than I thought. And LSU doubled them up, I guess, 17-17. And the score ended up 34-17.
Yep.
But UCLA didn't, get both raced in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
And I think UCLA is not anywhere in the stadium with LSU. But they showed some fight.
Yeah, they did.
And they'll, you get in that Rose Bowl, and there'll be a ton of Oregon fans there, and we're both in the Big Ten now. I think UCLA puts up a scrap. I think UCLA comes within 24 points. Let's get real. But I'm also going to go with the over.
Over, okay. All right. There it is, folks. Capital A, capital A, capital R, Jayhawks.
Yes.
And Marty 101 ESPN, Game of Bruns. The viewership continues to grow. And we really
appreciate that. We do.
We do.
We do.
We really appreciate it. And before we sign off, everybody up in arms. It's like, Wilson Contreras is just pointing out facts. I mean,
everybody was right. Arenado. I think we're gonna need a little help around it.
I mean, geez.
Yeah. It's just like, wait, not look around like that. Wasn't like every man. Can do better next year. Let's go get it. Like, oh, no.
It's like another news, water is wet.
We need, wait a minute.
What's going to happen this offseason?
Right. And I think what they see is, they look at Milwaukee and they look at some other teams. They say, like, man, they got some young cats that's going to be there a while.
Yeah.
And I think the fear is, not fear, but I think they're looking at these other, as they say, like, you know what? Let's say you did put a star in the middle of Milwaukee's lineup. Are you going to catch them next year? Absolutely not. That's what I'm saying. Like,
can't catch anybody.
They're like one star away. Man, Cincinnati fired their manager because said we getting on with life. Yeah. They probably already called Skip Schumacher on the phone. They said you're fired, dude. With 2 weeks left in the season because we're moving on, and we want everybody in that clubhouse to know, hey, you might be someplace else next year.
Right.
So they let it be known this ain't working. I'd be the same way if I was the Pirates.
Mm-hmm.
I'd call Paul Skeens and say, like, hey, Paul, we
Yeah.
Just in case you go into the offseason and think, man, I play for a trifling organization. They ain't never going to win.
Mm-hmm.
I think that guy might get the heave-ho up there, too.
Right.
Because, I just think the Cardinals are going to wait, and we got to see if we're going to sign Goldsmith, and we got to wait on this. These other teams are like, no. How in the hell we finish behind the Cardinals?
Right. Something's got to change big time this offseason.
What the Cubs going to do?
Man, that's a great question. I was talking about it with somebody the other day, and it's kind of like they're at that point. Their farm system is absolutely loaded. Okay. You got some money. I would have to expect, Alvin, they're going to be better than the Cardinals next year. Maybe right close to the Cardinals. Yeah. But they're not competing for anything serious for years.
Or we'll see who they add to their franchise.
But you know what? And I've had this conversation with a lot of people. We got 2016, baby. Memories. We got the memories.
Man,
The core. I don't even care what the Cubs do anymore. I'm content.
See, you can't be like that, Mark.
Oh, I'm like that.
No, you can't be like that.
Dude, we waited 110 years.
And my daughter, that y'all had just won the World Series when my daughter and I were up there visiting colleges all during like late 2016. And
you were there when they won it all?
No.
Okay.
Wait, I was in Chicago. I think it was 7 or 8 days after the World Series.
Okay.
That's when we made our first.
Partying.
Oh, signs everywhere, and it was just, But man, that was a long time ago, dude. That's 8 years ago.
No matter.
All right, my daughter's getting her PhD now, man. She was a senior in high school.
My daughter was born in 2016.
See,
I held her. We celebrated. I watched the YouTube game at least once a month.
All right.
Everybody wanted it. People forget that. Everybody just won.
Yeah.
We got the one. I know where you're coming from, Alvin, but 2016, man, everything about it was magical. The fact I'm still shocked that they came back and won after being down 3-1. I mean, that's amazing.
I hear you. And now, like I said, I got to an age where I said, like, God, I'd really like to see the Blues win the championship before I get too old to even be able to see the television screen, and they did it. And now, dude, I'm to the point now where, man, I'm 64 years old. I'm like, hey.
You don't look a day over 50.
I was like, hey, Cowboys, how about we get this done here?
Right.
Nah, yeah, right. Quite frankly, I don't know when that's going to happen.
They're bad.
They're bad. Owner's bad. This team's bad.
I don't know their schedule, but
no.
What are they right now? 1-2?
We are 1-2. But did you watch the Commanders game last night?
No, but I heard my neighbor Jennifer yelling because she's a big Cowboys fan.
I mean, you see the Commanders game? That
Yes.
dude, Jaden Daniels got down last night.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
0-3 Bengals.
Yeah. Well, all I know is all of a sudden these sure wins over the Commanders looking like sure losses right now.
Yeah.
And that will get somebody fired down there.
Who would have thunk that last night?
No, I didn't. I sure didn't. Didn't pick them. I lost a tiebreaker on one of my weekly pools. The score was too high for me. I had it in the high 40s, man. They reached 60 points. But I was in the tiebreaker.
Wow. Good. That's good stuff,
That would have been a nice little piece of money, but all right.
Oh, by the way, they said that's the loudest Wrigley was ever been after they won Game 5 at Wrigley.
And you were going to?
People, you could hear, there's videos, you could hear Cubs go from like rooftops miles away. You could hear from Rockford, Illinois, It was absolutely insane in there.
All right.
2016, Alvin. All right,
All right.
everybody. We appreciate all of y'all. And Alvin, I got a lot of people asking me, and I'm humbled. I'm excited. We are dropping the college basketball connection.
I'm ready.
We sprinkling in some NBA too.
I read a little bracketology this morning, man.
Ooh! Where do they got KU? Number 1?
Number 1 overall. I don't know that they'll
Live up to
we'll see.
The Hoosiers, Mike Woodson just landed another big in-state recruit yesterday, 4-star. That's important. This is the best team IU's had in a long time. They're a preseason top 20 team. I guess that gives you an idea of the state of where that program's at. That this is, this is the best team they've had since Cody Zeller and Yogi Ferrell and all those guys got to the Sweet 16 and then ran up against a Syracuse zone. Good Lord, running into a Syracuse zone.
Well,
I mean, it's just like they deer in headlights for any team.
We lost the national championship to them.
Yeah, Carmelo, right?
Yep. And Jerry McNamara was 7 for 7 and then didn't hit another shot the rest of the game. That whole game was a nightmare, man. I still wake up screaming over that. God.
I still wake up screaming about the Notre Dame Reggie Bush push game. Remember that one?
Yo, that was a great college football game.
I broke my remote.
Oh, the Bush push?
Yes. That was as loud as South Bend's ever been. Anyways, hey, we're rambling, but College Basketball Connection is in full effect. We will start that in a few weeks. I know a lot of people are excited for that. Sprinkle in some NBA. Celtics going to repeat. Enjoy the games, everybody, this weekend. And go Bama. Roll Tide.
All right.